everyone, I'm Bernadette. I am a mom of 2.
Hi, I am Karen Akamwande, and I am a mom of a new baby boy, a mom of 1.
Okay, let's dive into the discussion for today. So, Sister Karen, can you just tell us how to prepare yourself as a new expecting mother? How can you, how do you encourage other women to prepare?
So, I would actually say that, can you ever be prepared? I almost feel like you can never be prepared for having a kid. But that being said, right, I truly believe that kids are like a very, very big responsibility. Nobody will teach you anything if you don't learn. Your pediatric will not tell you anything. He would only treat your child. He wouldn't tell you like the regular basics. So it's an opportunity for you as a mom to make sure that you are learning. So for me, what I did was I attended any class that I knew. They have free classes on Evite, like Eventbrite. Mm-hmm. So I took birthing classes, I took breastfeeding classes, I joined breastfeeding groups. I just generally learn, because we know in this day and age there's a lot of information coming at you, so you want to be able to vet that information with like legit professionals. So a couple things, I made sure that I wanted to have a baseline so that as a baby comes, I can scale and then I can pivot. So there's so many different things for like things like car seats. I basically went to the fire department. Wow. And got them to fit my car seats, because like I said, I was not going to go to YouTube because the car seat part for me, because they won't let you go away from the hospital if you don't have the car seat.
The right one.
The right one, yes. So that, and then one of the vetting sites that I used that was really good, like if I heard anything from Instagram or whatever and I wanted to know whether it was right, the CDC. Yeah. CDC has a lot. This American College of Pediatrics, they have a lot of information, and then there's like a lot of different websites. But generally, just have all of these classes. One class that I took was first aid too.
First aid, okay.
First aid class for child resuscitation. And then I had a checklist for everything. I had a checklist for hospital bag. I had a checklist for first time mom now. I had a checklist for how to bathe the baby. I had a checklist for diaper bag. I had a checklist for everything.
Okay. How about you, Benedict?
Interesting. So
your first one.
So my first child it came with a lot of learning. First, I was surrounded by family, mostly people that have already given birth. So, and the other thing was also I was surrounded by family that gave birth like a long time ago. So there was a lot that was done back then that per se, not that it did not apply, it applied in a different way, with less severity. So with me, it was, like she said, it was a huge learning curve. I don't think that there is any book that can fully prepare you for how to be a mother, because the truth about it is that whatever book is reading, whatever recipes are being provided, it is based on the experience of the person or the person experience with the child. And as we all know, children are versatile. They come with different abilities, different attitudes and everything. What I experienced with my first child is completely different with what I experienced with my second child. And the gender too, there's a lot that goes to it. But there are certain tips and tricks that will help to make your life better. One of them, if you're becoming a first mom, one advice I'll just listening to her, I knew that she had to overkill it. Those classes are important, but I like you to know that don't overdo it. I know that there is that anticipation. It's your first child. You want to get everything right. You want to, do everything by the book. It's great if you can, but don't hurt yourself or don't feel less of a mother if you can.
Absolutely.
The truth about the fact is that until that baby gets there, that's when you start to figure out the things that you have to do.
Yes.
But again, there's preparation that needs to be done. So the baby's basics. If you're a new mom, 0 to 3 months old and you're looking for, what kind of clothes should I buy? What should I buy? Things that are very important, regardless of what season you give the baby in. You give birth to the baby, children needs to be wrapped at least for the first 6 weeks. So your onesies, long sleeves, regardless of the season.
Right.
Very important.
I agree.
I'll say between 12 and 16 long sleeve onesies should work if you are changing them right and you're washing them right for your first 6 weeks. That should be enough.
Okay.
And then you can figure out if you want to just keep wrapping the baby or if you want to wear them, tights and all of that. But I'll say 16 onesies, about
16?
16 onesies.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
16 onesies.
I think I actually have less than that, even.
Yeah, I mean,
But
if
hey,
you're a frequent washer,
how much
you
time
don't
you
need
do
that
laundry?
many. Yeah, if you're a frequent washer, and for the first 6 weeks of the baby, if you have the support, I'll say wash as frequently as you can, because there's bacteria, there's a lot of things that go into, and I was doing this, I'm not saying you should, but it really helps, regardless of whether you use, if you can, hand wash and air dry for the first 6 weeks. It's important.
My sister was doing that when she came. After I was like, I don't think I can do that.
For my first, I actually hand washed until he was 1.
Oh my goodness.
For my daughter, I hand washed and air dried until he was 1.
Oh,
and
wow.
I had to iron down everything down to the sock.
I know. I ironed too, but I was the mom that said I'm not going to iron. But when he started having skin issues, I started ironing.
Yeah. So I'll say for the first 6 weeks, regardless of whether you hand wash or you machine wash, still iron. If you hand wash, machine wash, air dry, people will say, oh, the air drying will kill the bacteria, it will do that. I can't speak for everybody, I can only speak for myself. Ironing does a great deal about eliminating whatsoever bacteria, virus is left on the baby's shirt.
Or if
and
you
it
have a
avoids
dryer
you
that
with skin
sanitizes.
problems. Yeah, so.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Permit this question.
Sure.
Which one is more challenging? Which one is much more harder? Is it the pregnancy phase, or giving birth, or breastfeeding? Which one is more challenging?
For my first child, I had those 3 challenges in different measures for my 2 kids. For my first child, the most challenging thing for me was labor and breastfeeding. So for my first, I was in labor for 38 hours.
Wow.
Oh wow.
That's close to 2 days.
Yeah, I was in labor for 38 hours, and it was the pain that I have never. I talking about it just feels like, it was a pain that I never experienced before, and I don't know. I think epidural now. I don't know if the formation has widely improved, because they gave me double epidural shots and it did not work for my pain.
The first time? Oh wow. The first time?
Yes.
Wow.
It did not work for my pain.
So did you get epidural on the second one though?
I was actually induced.
Gotcha.
So they induced me, but I already had the epidural before my induction. So it was already in my system when labor kicked in, but it was not working. Then when the pain became so severe, they had to double the dosage. Now, this was the most painful part. I was in labor and I had to sit down without moving. You know how epidural goes to your spine. Okay, it goes to your spine,
Okay,
and you have to sit down, bulge out without moving, so that epidural can go in.
That was the same thing
That
too
was the
with
second
me.
time. Mind you, I'm already in labor and they're trying to ease the pain.
Yes.
So they don't need you to move an inch. I had to sit down there. I took a cloth and I was biting on it so I didn't move.
Yeah, that was the same thing with me
Still
too.
not help.
That's why they say get epidural as soon as you know you're going to need it, because if you get to the stage where you are and you're so much pain, it's going to be harder for you to sit down. So I would just advise you want to get it a little earlier in the process than later.
Yeah. If you're gonna go for epidural, as soon as you walk in and you've been prepped,
get it. And it's good because epidural, you can actually feel your feet here, the way they dose it here. I've heard some women's experience where they say when they get them epidural, they can't even move their feet. But the way I gave birth, I could move my feet.
That's why I said that it's like that was my first statement. I feel like it has improved. I don't know if it's been improved, or my system tolerance was just different, but it's greatly improved from when I had my first child to when I had my second child. It has greatly improved.
So doing the labor part, it was more challenging for you than the breastfeeding. How about you? Is it the breastfeeding or?
For me, it was actually breastfeeding postpartum, because I feel like the pregnancy, you carry that baby with you. So there's really not going on. You can control everything that is happening. But when that baby comes out, there's a lot going on with you. At first, you have the pain from delivery. You have swollen feet. I had terrible swollen feet. And then you have all that hormones still going on. And then everything else that is going on, with trying to take care of this baby. So it's a lot harder. And then breastfeeding is one of the things that they don't tell you, which, like I said, you need to do research. They don't tell you that breastfeeding is one of the hardest things you would have to do.
It is hard.
I promise you, it's one of those challenges that every mother should put on their resume. Because even if you are breastfeeding or pumping, it's the same challenge that you face.
Especially, I think when you're now breastfeeding a male child, I think it's much more.
Oh yeah, for me, it was very challenging, and I could remember the times where I was all bruised up, but I still either needed to pump so that the baby can feed, or just to empty the breast so that you can. Because there's a lot of things. If you don't feed the baby enough, the baby is not sleeping right, crying, and you can't get enough sleep. Now, in order for you to do that, you need to both breastfeed and pump out so that you can feel relaxed as well. So that there's just a lot of dynamics that's going on with breastfeeding. Most times I was crying through the time. I was like, I can't do this.
Same here.
Yeah.
So the way I used to make that easy for me is I made sure that when I had to pump or breastfeed, I had everything, my favorite show, my favorite snack. I don't care. I will stop, if the best things that just to make that moment, worth going through. Is that 1 hour, 30 minutes that you do, but find something that you like doing during that time, and just travel to that good place.
Okay. Benedict, I have a question for you. How do you transition from having one child to having the second one without neglecting the first one?
I think it has to do a lot with the support that you have. You can't do it all. I think that you're going to have to intentionally do it. So you have to be intentional about the fact that there is a child that already exists, and there is another that's coming who need a measure of the love that you have to give.
Both of them needs the love. So how do you balance it so that the first one doesn't?
Right. And my son was really clingy. My son was, today they still call him mommy's boy and everything. My son was really, really clingy. So even through the pregnancy, he'll still be holding on he wants to lie on my tummy, because that's how he sleeps on a regular. And I have to remind him, you're going to hurt the baby if you lie on my tummy and everything. But like I said, support was very important. My husband supported me through the way, and you have to ask for help. Ask for help
and take help when it's offered.
What kind of help?
Yeah, ask for help for family to help you with your first child. Also talk to your spouse. I'm not saying that men don't know what they have to do, but when it comes to children, they need to be given as much lecturing as you can.
Yeah, I think we women think things through. They are more conception, and they can have the concept, but they may not know how to execute it. That's where we come in.
Yeah. So dummy proof is what I always say. Dummy proof. Don't assume that they know what they're supposed to do. For us, it comes naturally. The thought, the love, the tenderness, the care. With them, there's some kind of adjustment to be done. And moving from one child to so the age difference between my kids is 4.5. So it was a big adjustment too. It was a big adjustment for, you have a 4.5-year-old and my son was really smart in picking up a lot of things. He was potty trained early. By 2.5, he was sleeping by himself. By 3, he was eating, drinking, doing everything by himself. By 4, we started to teach him how to shower himself. So by the time I was pregnant with my daughter, Jaden was pretty much doing the basic stuff by himself. He would need assistance here and there. If I lay out his clothes, he knew how to pick them up and put it on.
Wow.
If I put his food on his table, he'll eat and take his plate to the sink. So it has to do a lot of prepare the first child for the second. It's going to help you a lot, especially if if you don't have a lot of help, preparing the first child matters a lot, because it's going to be very draining for you to have to figure out yourself as a new mom, give love and attention and care to the newborn, and you still have to figure out, even though you're a mom, if you're a wife, you still have wifely duties.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
if you're a student, you still have school to go. So there's a lot of dynamics.
If you work, at some point you still have to work.
Prepare the people around you, including the first child, on how to navigate things, you know, when the second child comes.
Thank you so much. I just want us to round up this video, but I want to ask you the same question. I know mother will come with a great sacrifice, and can you just like talk about one? I mean, you guys have a lot of sacrifice. Can you just mention one sacrifice that you have done, and you just feel that this is too much?
For me, having a child was a sacrifice on its own, because I naturally is the mom who wants to accomplish, wants to do. So for a long time, I couldn't picture how the baby will fit into my general schedule, and I kept thinking, I already don't have time without a kid. How would that kid fit into the time that I don't even have? But then once the child came, I think God just gives you that grace to be able to figure out, you know, that. So that in itself aside, but for me, the sacrifice that I've done is really just being able to be intentional about, you know, because there's so many times I don't even eat for a whole entire day, and I have to eat because I have to feed the baby. You know, feeding you is feeding the baby. But there are moments where you really cannot eat, especially if your husband is maybe at work and he's not there at that moment. And the other day I was telling my son, you've eaten 3 times today. I've never eaten twice, but you keep yelling. So and I'm like, yes, you know. So sometimes you really have to make that sacrifice of putting your own needs, you know, and then putting their needs ahead of yours.
Okay, how about you, Benita?
I think that the sacrifice that I had to make for my kids is, you know, pumping the brakes on my career and my academics. I had to slow down a little bit, a whole lot, not a little bit actually, for my career and my academics. But it's always a great sacrifice too, because you really need to be strategic about what you're going to drop, so that, you know, the kids can feel you can have the time, the energy and emotions to be able to give to the kids. Because if you don't willingly and strategically plan and drop some of those things, other things will be forced to decide.
Yes.
And then there will be a situation where it's either your spouse or your children are not getting the attention, the love, or the needs that are really important for a family unit.
Wow, thank you so much. Do you have anything to say, just random?
I would just say, as a mom, nothing is going to prepare you, just reiterate that. But it's always nice to have that baseline, you know, and then once you have that baseline, you work from it. And like she said, ask for help, receive help, because I used to be the person who would want to do everything on my own. Get help when they get you. And one thing, if you have any mental issues, see somebody, because there's a lot of women who have babies and you have the mental issue and you don't even know, and you don't even realize that it is actually normal for you to have that mental, you know, do I love this baby? Do I, you know, that moment. So get help, talk to somebody if you need to, and you know, take care of yourself at the same time. Okay,
that's it. Oh, you still have to say?
For me, I'll just say that if you happen to be pregnant and you're expecting a child, great. But if you are on the edge where you're either with a spouse and you're considering having a child, planning is very important. There's a lot of dynamics that go into becoming a parent. For the woman, a lot is going to change for you. Your sleep patterns are going to change. Your needs and your desires are going to change. You may have to drop certain things that are important to you in order to be able to embrace motherhood. It shouldn't be that way. Motherhood should come easy. People say it, but the reality is that when it comes down to having a child, as the mother, you have the primary responsibility for the mental, physical and emotional well-being of that kid, but that means that you yourself have to be mentally and physically okay and available and ready to be able to undertake that responsibility. Don't rush into it. If you can take your time, and if you agree with your spouse to take the time, definitely take the time. Children also cost money.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Because
children cost money, so you want to factor in that cost as well before you take that leap. All in all, children are a blessing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's a great point she makes. And I would say that if you don't want to have a child at the time, be intentional about it. Do something. Because I see a lot of women who say, oh, I don't want to have kids, and then the next minute they're having a child. So be intentional about bringing a child into this world. It's not something that you just
rush into.
Do.
True. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for your time. And I know motherhood, like I said, comes with a lot of sacrifices, and I pray that all your sacrifice, all your labor, God will make you to enjoy them in the life of your child, in life of your grandchildren. In Jesus' name. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching us again. We will see you in our next episode. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.